Since first seeing the gameplay trailer for Let's Revolution, I've been thoroughly intrigued on this game for two different counts. Firstly, the actual game's graphics and the beautiful hand-drawn stylings of them. They're bright, colourful and vibrant and pop off the screen as you play. Secondly though, this game reminded me of a board game that I've had as a child called The Amazing Labyrinth, where you was uncovering tiles and trying to move around mazes. And whilst this game does nod a little bit towards that, the better description of Let's Revolution is a turn-based strategy game crossed with Minesweeper. Oh yes baby, that old classic is back. The goal in Let's Revolution is to try and find the king that is hiding somewhere on the map, which is randomly generated before you. Each map starts with all of the tiles faced down, and just like Minesweeper, when you move into a new area, you'll get to see how many road tiles there are all the way around the edge of the tile that you're standing on. So if it's 0, that means that there are no roads around you. If it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then that's how many road tiles that are circling around the edge. Why do road tiles matter? Well, the king will always be found on the road, always at a dead end. However, all of his henchmen will also be on the roads too. And so what you're doing is using the number that's being uncovered on the tile that you're standing on to try and guess the odds of, do I perform some attacks into the shadows? Can I leapfrog over something into an unknown tile and try and survive that way? And you're choosing your actions depending on the amount of energy that you have. The actions that you've got are at the bottom of the screen, and each character class, and there's 6 to choose from in this game, has a different set of actions that they can take. And they really change the different gameplay as you go. And I'll kind of get onto that in a little bit later. But every action that you're doing, apart from just moving around the screen, will cost you energy. So if you're going to attack something, you need to try and, based on a law of gambling / odds / predictability / logic, that if you're going to do an attack into blindness, you have to be kind of half certain that an enemy's going to be there to take your attack, because otherwise you're just spending energy for the sake of it. That said, you also don't want to be charging round levels too, because if you're going to make some judgments and hold back your energy, you might run into a road and bump into an enemy, and doing so will mean that you lose life. You'll also notice as I'm playing through this game that every enemy that I have encountered then becomes visible, and when they're visible on the screen they'll start a countdown timer depending on the amount of turns and moves that you make, and that's hiding underneath each character. At the end of their timer, they will then attack the player no matter where you are on the screen, and so what you'll need to do is attack them so that it resets their timer before they attack you, because if you've uncovered 4 or 5 enemies on screen at once and you let all of their attack counters run down, you'll be dead very, very quickly because you only have a few hearts at the side. All of this means that what you're doing is taking a logical probability test on what you think is going to be surrounding you, making some good decisions, but then also reacting to what is put in front of your eyes. And that's what really Let's Revolution does so well, because you're given a set of data that kind of makes you go, okay, I can make some logical predictions that there's going to be some enemies hiding around where I am, and so I'm going to take X, Y, and Z moves as I go along. And depending on what character class you're doing will depend on those actions. So let's cover some of those classes. You've got troopers who are quite happy to just storm in and attack things. They have this really cool roundhouse kick move that will not only reveal all of the squares around you, but will do a single HP damage attack to any enemy around you. But they also normally come equipped with arrows that allow you to kind of attack from a couple of tiles away. In stark contrast to that, the shadow character wants to stay in hiding and doesn't want to actually encounter any enemies at all. And because they have very little energy to actually do any attacks, what you're doing is using your energy to re-hide tiles again. So when you discover an enemy, you kind of think, Christ, get away from it, uncover it and hide it so that then their countdown clock can't hit you and then cause damage, because you can't really attack them. There's also a witch and a mage type character as well, where they're a bit more around stealth, but also like rebuffing back attacks to a point. And again, it's all around avoiding enemies, and every single class plays slightly differently. There's also a brawler one, which is all around charging up, uncovering tiles in a row, which then gives you energy back. And if you don't go around almost like you're playing Snake, then you run out of energy. That means you can't attack anyone, because you just have to stampede and hope that you line up enemies in a nice way that's not at a point where you've like buggered up your moves and lost all of your energy. All of this is really, really entertaining and engaging, because no character handles the same and you have to play differently, otherwise you fail very quickly. You'll also notice that there are traits for each character that gets built up as you go along, and this is because as you kill enemies or satisfy certain like secondary conditions, so for example if you're playing as the trooper or the brawler, you need to kill all of the henchmen before you move on to the next level. Whereas if you're playing as the Shadow one, you need to leave as many tiles uncovered as possible so that they turn into coins and money. As you wander around the different maps, you'll come across different shops and upgrade systems, which allow you to upgrade or buy new weapons or new traits. And that could be something like extending out the reach of your bow and arrows, or the cooldown between turns for being able to use some of your big special moves. Or it could be just getting some extra arrows for your bow and arrow, or some daggers that allow you to hit like one place diagonally from each other. Or you can get things like bazookas that will allow you to hit once something that's visible, or to stun enemies so that their clocks don't move forward. There's loads of different things that you can uncover. You start off though with Let's Revolution with quite a small set of skills to begin with. And this is where replaying the game and getting into its lore, well, not lore so much, but just kind of understanding all of the different logic and rules and the nuances of each character really comes to the fore. Because part of going around all of these different maps, you'll start to collect gems. And if you complete a run of 10 maps, you'll also get additional gems. And every 3 or 4 gems will unlock a selection of new skills or new classes of character to be added into the mix that will then start to appear in shops. And suddenly it opens up more and more tactics, more and more builds, more and more things that you might choose preference over another, because every shop is a choice. It will give you 2 different things that you can upgrade or buy, and you can only choose one or the other, or neither. You can re-roll, but that costs you coins. But it forces you down different roads of you going, well, do you know what, I've not tried this setup, let's see how it goes. And invariably, a lot of things can work. It's down to logic and making sound decisions, and that's what really makes Let's Revolution so enjoyable. In addition to all of that, there's loads of different improvements of difficulty. So each character starts off with easy and normal mode, but then you get New Game Plus. I'm up to New Game Plus 3 with some of these classes, and every time it comes around, not only are the different traits that you have different, but also the enemies start to get harder and more aggressive. They have shorter clocks, they have more health, they also cause more damage, they move around and start causing other problems for you, like draining out your energy and things like that. It, again, then makes you go, I can't play this conservatively. Sometimes I might need to be like tactically aggressive and stomp around the map and try and make some like brash decisions, but calculated ones. And so yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I do want to shout out that the graphics are absolutely beautiful. I also really like the soundtrack to this game. It's like a medicine music meets quirky circus vibe. I really like it. It's soft but quirky and circusy. Big thumbs up from me. And yeah, this just all comes together to be a really fantastic, fiendish turn-based strategy game that looks quite simple on the surface, and it is, but the more you dig in, the more things become available to you, and the more you start to plot and get really invested in the game. Let's Revolutionise is out now on PC. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.